All right. Well, that was the end of Thursday Night Football. Dolphins fall to the Buffalo Bills 31-10. And it wasn't just a 31-10. I mean, that was we were watching somebody get bullied. Like I felt bad. I wanted to go to the principal and report a bullying. Big brother's still the big brother. That's what went down tonight. That's what was shown. Obviously, to start it off, we want to say that our thoughts are with Tua, right? That's the main concern here. That was scary when I saw him run for the first down. I was like, okay, I mean, we know he wanted to score. They did not like where they were. We know he's a competitor. We know his heart, and then, when he got hit like that, and when at first, as soon as he got hit, I went, oh my God. And because it's him, and we know his history. And then to watch his hands did the same thing.
Yeah,
and he rolled. And dude, I got out of, I was watching in my living room. Everything that could go wrong was like the Dolphins game. Anything that could go wrong went wrong with me. I sat down after pregame. I turned the TV on. My game started freezing. And all of a sudden the internet went out. So I had to go in my room and watch it. And that situation goes down. I jumped up. It was horrible. Thank God he was able to get up on his own, walk off the field. Reports is that he was still in the locker room. He was with his wife, his kids, his brother, his family back there. So we'll still wait as news comes in on Tua. We'll hear from Coach McDaniel. Finstanza will keep us posted as that stuff comes through. But as you guys can see, we have Real Talk Rants host Steve Malloy with us, who we all got that dose of reality tonight. The Dolphins were humbled, and so were their fans. So we got Steve in the house. And, of course, we got the one and only Finstanza with us as well, always on postgame. So before I get to Finstanza, let's get to Steve. Steve, how you feeling right now after watching this football game, sir?
It was just an embarrassing display out there on the field. They were sloppy. Nobody was on point. The only person that had a great game and was the Miami Dolphins today was Devon Achane.
Yes.
And so it was just an embarrassing loss. I can't blame it on the O-line, I don't think. I think it was just it was and normally I don't criticize Mike McDaniel for his play calling. But tonight was a terrible display of play calling, just terrible. I don't know what they were trying to do. At times they had Tyreek off the field, and I don't understand it. I don't understand his philosophy. I know we wanted him to change, to be different in this offense, a scheme somewhat, but they went from, I don't know. They just look terrible tonight. That's all there is to it. That's the dose of reality. They just look terrible. I've been saying, all season, I had questions about the defense. I had questions about Weaver. I had questions about our, just the whole defense. They're older. These guys didn't even play together most of the training camp, especially the defensive backfield. This load management crap, I don't agree with it one iota. Taron Armstead, here's the result of it. He's hurt again because he didn't practice, I don't think, once the whole off season, the training camp, not once. And here he is, hurt again. Robert Jones got hurt. Of course, we just mentioned about Tua Tagovailoa. I know a lot of folks were calling for him, and they were real happy for him that he lost weight. And they said he was gonna, he's gonna be more elusive. He's gonna run, and I was the one always saying, I was like, yeah, we want him to be elusive. We want him to move around in that pocket and create off script, but not run. The blocking was fine on that play. He just saw a patch of green and he darted off, tried to make a touchdown, and we know his injury history. and he knows his injury history, and the Dolphins organization knows his injury history. I really put blame on Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins organization, because this offseason they did say, they were going to see Tua moving around out there more and running a little more. How are you going to do that with a guy that had 3 concussions 2 years ago, right? 3 severe concussions, and now you have him lose a little weight, and now you want him to run. And Tua's going to take him up on that because he's a competitor, But anyway, it was just an embarrassing showing, and Buffalo still has our number. To be quite frank with you, this team is looking more like a 7-10 or 8-9 team right now. And that's all I got to say, man. It's just a terrible showing. I knew I had a feeling they were. Well, I did. I said they were going to lose tonight, 27-24, and they didn't prove me wrong.
Evan.
Yes.
So the question. Same thing. This is from Steve. Your thoughts?
Let's just start off with the fact that prayers go to Tua and his family. But I'm going to be very frank about this. And I said this to you before we came on air. I'm watching that game. I'm seeing him. I see the center clear, and he's running. And I see that end zone. I said to myself, he's about to concuss himself. I just saw how he was running. He wasn't running with his head up. He was running with his head down. And he actually put his head down. So that's not to take away from the fact that in the end, he's been taught, and that's why he did jiu-jitsu. That's why he did all the slide. That's what most quarterbacks do. That's what you're supposed to do. He was because they were down, and he was trying to make a play to make up for the fact that he had 3 interceptions. He did this to himself. Now, that's not to take away from the fact that he's a human being. And right now, my buddy, who's a big Bucs fan, I'm sure we'll talk to later, he has always said that he doesn't think Tua should have been playing football after the last concussion. So the conversation now, tomorrow, is going to be not about when Tua is going to play again. It's if he should ever play at all. And I'm sure when they start, there's something there for him. I'm sure he's insured, whatever.
Yeah, he's guaranteed $90 million.
Yeah,
either way.
I know. But if I was Tua Tagovailoa, I wouldn't play football anymore. As a human being, I don't want him to play football anymore. Okay? He should not play football anymore, because the way he plays football, where he gives 110% on every single play, he is going to not that concussion people can play with concussion. He could have very bad CTE. He has 2 young kids. He has millions of dollars in his pocket. He can go on television. He can go anywhere he wants. He can coach. He could do whatever he wants. He's set for life. Why do this to yourself anymore? Because it seems that your way of playing football is no longer safe for your own body, because a helmet can protect you only up to a certain point, but it doesn't protect you from brain injuries. So for me, from that perspective, let's wait to hear. Right now, Skylar Thompson just said during his press conference he hasn't even seen Tua. He's inside with his family. The fact that that's still happening, it's much worse than even though if he's okay, he's not playing for a while, and I wouldn't want him back on the field, because if I was him, after that, I'm going to be gun shy as a quarterback. So even for the Miami Dolphins as a franchise, that's not something you want to go through. Like, I don't remember the last quarterback. Maybe you have to go back to Steve Young, who's had 4 concussions in the last 4 years. The three diagnosed concussions between Green Bay, the one in Cincinnati. We know when he hurt his back, and now tonight. So let's just wait to hear on that. When it comes to the actual football game, okay?
It was Hamlin.
It was Hamlin who hit him,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But that's not Hamlin's fault. He put his head
No. It's a football play.
Yeah, it's a football play.
Yeah.
Well, let's just talk about the game as a whole. Let's just talk about the overall game. I felt that something was going to change tonight. Unfortunately, with my positive energy, it actually happened on the reverse. And what ended up happening tonight was very, very clear. And yes, Tua threw 3 interceptions. Yes, the defense was weak. But when you have on the first drive, your first strong throw of the game is going to Grant Dubose. Okay? The next time, your first big play is going to Robbie Chosen. So when we need key plays in a drive, you're throwing to Durham Smythe, Braxton Berrios, Grant Dubose, and Robbie Chosen. Not to Tyreek, not to Waddle, not to Jonnu, not even to Achane. Achane got some very basic throws. Not to Jeff Wilson, not to Jalen Wright. Let's throw it to all these 5th and 6th practice squad players. Okay? Mike McDaniel, if we talk about the game from a laughing perspective, people come out saying everyone was sweating on the field. He's wearing he's wearing a hoodie. He's sitting there going for it in his own territory. The field position for this game, we kept on giving back the field position. So to talk about from the Buffalo Bills perspective, they won this football game because the Dolphins gave it to them in the first half. They were the better football team. They looked more unified. But the Miami Dolphins handed them the game before the first quarter was over because of field position, poor decision-making, inefficient play. So when you look at it from the perspective of Tua was poor on the first interception, awful. That wasn't him. That was Grant Dubose. Didn't know where to be. Second one could be miscommunication. But think about it, the last 3 interceptions he threw prior to the last one was to Chase Claypool, Grant Dubose, and Robbie Chosen. That's ridiculous. If you're going to make a bad interception, throw it to Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Let me just get.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The offensive line. Armstead's injured. Robert Jones is a disaster. Aaron Brewer can't snap. Liam Eichenberg can't get out of his own way, and Austin Jackson got mauled. The entire offensive line, let's be very clear, is subpar. No matter what they say anymore to all of us, no one's going to believe them anymore because of how they played tonight as a whole, the entire unit, the PFF scores. No one's going to believe PFF for the rest of their lives. The linebacker core, David Long, in coverage, the run on James Cook's third touchdown, he was lost. Jalen Ramsey got completely destroyed today. Did we hear Javon Holland's name? And after on that thing, Jordan Brooks and Jordan Poyer got whiffed by James Cook. And what were my keys to the game? Stop the run, stop the run. James Cook burned us on the run. And then what did I say? Keep Josh Allen in the pocket. What happened to Jalen Ramsey on that play that almost caused a touchdown and ended up leading to a touchdown? What? You let him out of the pocket. And as a whole, the leaders on this team failed. Whether you're David Long, Jalen Ramsey, Tua when he was playing in the game, Tyreek Hill did not look invested in this game. The way it was just running. The fact that also, I'm just telling you right now, the most fireable offense to me to Mike McDaniel tonight, and no one will ever convince me otherwise, if we're talking about the football game, is with 3 minutes left and 2 timeouts, you burnt everything. You were selling for a field goal. For the guy who's supposed to have the best offensive mind in football, you had over 3.5 minutes, and you literally were not calling timeouts. You were killing the clock to walk away with a field goal. That is fireable on just as a overall football coach. For a guy who's supposed to be aggressive, scoring quickly, that for me was completely insane. How do you do that? How do you manage a game like that? And in the second half, when they were trying to come back, they burnt the defense burnt the timeout within the first minute of the game. McDaniel burnt another one before it was halfway done. All I want to say as an overall whole, from the concept of the game, in the end, I'm not alone, and I spread it on Twitter throughout the whole game. I'm never going to accept from anybody. He's a rookie head coach. It's his second year. He is the worst game manager I have ever seen. He is the worst organizer within a football game. His facial expressions. It's a football game, and I understand Tua is his friend, but he's also a football coach. He showed favoritism. He's kissing him on the forehead in the middle of the football game. The guy is more emotionally affected by everything. Now, I think that what Sean McDermott did in the last fourth quarter was a little disgusting to bring Josh Allen out when they're up by 3 scores and we're not even trying anymore. I found that a little bit disgusting, but I'm over that by now. Like, whatever, we're gonna do what we're gonna do. In the end, I don't even care about the game. The fact that we are Dolphin fans, the people that go to this game, that go see this product. Dolph Freaky posted, and I couldn't believe it. She wanted a bottle of water and a bottle of ice, $13, and wrote to, and actually tweeted to Tom Garfunkel. I went with my kids to a preseason game. To have a meal for 5 of us cost me $120 in the stadium if I want to buy it. Good thing I brought my own food. The whole concept is all these people are us as Dolphin fans. We're here. We're supporting our team. We're fans. The fact that after 2 games, we're booing our team. The fact that we're down 70-7 before we even sniff in the first 2 games with the greatest on turf, both games at home. As a football team, you have to put it on somebody. And you can't fire 53 players. You can't blame 53 players. In the end, a coach leads your team. And what makes me sad is that everyone is doing Devon Achane. What the heck? Remember he said last year with old Bradley Chubb, let's take him out of the game, let's not get him injured. Why in that second to last drive? I understand Jeff Wilson was out, but then I don't care. Use wide receivers. Use Jalen Wright. What is Devon Achane still doing in that football game? Jumping for catches. Imagine Devon Achane hurt his leg even more. This is a guy who was already almost was a game time decision, and you're burning him with 5 minutes left in the game. On top of that, and then I've been saying forever about Skylar Thompson not being a quarterback in this NFL. It didn't matter where he threw the ball. He sails every football. He is not a backup quarterback. He's not even a practice squad quarterback. He's a CFL quarterback. And even for now, I don't know what they're going to do, because if I'm Ryan Tannehill, I would not come play behind this offensive line. I don't know what they're going to do. You can't have Tim Boyle and Skylar Thompson, because you want to know what? People aren't going to come to games. The gate on this is going to be disgusting. If they continue the whole season with Skylar Thompson, because even for me with Tua, I'm going to be nervous every time he runs with the football now. I wouldn't even play him. It's scary as all hell. 4 concussions in 3 years. For me as a whole, this entire foundation of this team, from Chris Greer to Mike McDaniel to Stephen Ross, has a lot of explaining to do to their fans and to this organization, because they have failed their players. They have failed their fans, and they have failed the overall concept of the Miami Dolphins, because the fact that we got burnt the way we did tonight as a football team, from an injury perspective, from a health perspective, from a gate perspective, the support, that they don't do anything for these season ticket holders, spend thousands of dollars to come give them money, heart, sweat, and tears. They show up to this. A product on the field is also not, it's not even about winning. If we lost today 31-30 or 31-24, and it was a back and forth game, but the product that was put on the field tonight by Mike McDaniel, who is the leader of this team, is, for me, why when he got his contract, I was the one guy who said to you, big mistake, because I don't believe he is a head football coach. He is not a leader of men. He wants to be their best friend. And and Tua in this position, I did it to himself, but Mike McDaniel puts him in that position to hurt himself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So no, hard to disagree. I will say though, and it's something a point you brought up earlier, but Cap for Life is talking about it in the comments. Cap, you know what? I will drop the link so some of you guys could come on for a few minutes to give your thoughts on this game, and of course Tua going down. Again, and Evan, I will say full disclosure, Evan brought this up before pregame or postgame, that Tua's injury is going to overshadow what happened on the field tonight. And it should. That should go above all, right? We should all hope Tua gets, as a human being is okay. I understand why he did it. He should have slid, first of all. You learned that in Pee-wee football, slide. You had the first down. His heart was in it. I know where his heart was. Remember last year, Evan, how many times I got upset when he went head first. This goes down. That sucked. And it sucks that he's gone, that he's out, and he could be missing. Obviously we got 10 days until the next game. More than likely he might be out that game, and we may have to ride out with Skylar Thompson. But again, not ignoring that and not skipping over the severity of Tua's injury. Before that injury, Tua played a very bad game. I mean, it was the off. I mean, Devon Achane was amazing, but
yes,
he couldn't get it to it smacked the shoulder of DeBoy, the former Packers receiver, which was an interception. He overthrew Robbie Chosen, which was a miscommunication. I would blame that on Chosen. You could see where Tua was going. Chosen got confused and stopped. And then that oversale interception, which was the third one. I mean, this Buffalo defense was all over this Miami offense. I will say, I agree on play calling. I agree on McDaniel's game management. It was horrible. He was out coached. Full disclosure, though, at the start of this game, as it was still close, it was 7-7, 10-7. I liked what they were doing. They were running the ball. They were mixing it up. Tyreek was running. Waddle was running. Achin was running. It looked like, okay, they're going to do – it's more than just deep passes here. They're playing around with all the talent of their offense. But again, somebody put in here, and forgive me if I didn't see – I don't remember your name, but somebody wrote in here in the comments, at some point in this football game, it seemed like McDaniel was coaching and doing his offense, just see what Buffalo would give him. He was playing the Buffalo's defense. He wasn't trying to attack Buffalo's defense. He was playing it safe the whole game, even at the end, when Tua was still okay. Even the commentators were saying it. Like, dude, you're down. You're down by 3 scores. You still have a shot to go. You have the firepower to possibly tie this game if you play it right. There was no urgency. There was no, let's get this ball rolling. No, it was run here, do this, dump it here, little bit. The only big play was Tua running down the middle of the field to get the first down and then getting that major concussion. Something is off with this offense and Coach McDaniel. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. I mean, I see some people in the comments saying that defenses figured us out. I don't know if the defense has figured us out. It seems like the Dolphins are beating themselves on offense. Because, Odell's not here, but Odell wasn't here last year. It was Barrios. It was Craycraft. Malik Washington, he wasn't here last year. Tyreek, Waddle, Achin, Jonnu Smith, who had a very good game. Had a good game. Those guys were there. Mozart wasn't in the game, but Devon Achin made that mute. It wasn't for a lack of talent. To me, it's not like, every Tyreek caught the ball, there were 3 defenders right on him. I'm not taking anything away from Buffalo's defense, but this is 2 weeks in a row where Miami's offense seemed handicapped. I don't know what's going on with Coach McDaniel. It's hard to argue with Evan on Coach McDaniel's play calling issues and his game management issues, time management issues at the end of this game. But yeah, it wasn't a good game overall. I agree. There's no excuses really necessary. And look, full disclosure, I know no one wants to hear this because everybody's caught up in their feelings. I get it. It's only week 2. The crappy thing of this is if we lost this game the way that this was and Tua was healthy next week, we could say, okay, it's only week 2. They need to pick it up, move on, win the next game. It's a 1-1. But now you're going in. Now you're going in with Tua possibly not playing. Now there are people on X and in the media and everywhere else that are saying, "Dude, you need to stop. This is it." Chris Nowinski, former WWE wrestler back in the day, had major concussions. He is a a big neurologist type of guy. He is a huge advocate for athletes with concussions, etc. He was saying there this was a major concussion. His arm stretches out. That's a sign of that he lost consciousness, et cetera, et cetera. It's scary. People are already talking about that Tua needs to step away. What have I been saying all offseason? What was the number one? It wasn't replacing Tua. We weren't going to do that. What was the one move at quarterback that I wanted? A legitimate backup quarterback for this very reason. I'm not going to say Skylar Thompson's not an NFL quarterback. He's a 7th round pick in his 3rd year with limited playing time. Okay, he's put in a bad spot. He shouldn't be a 2nd string quarterback. 3rd string is fine. He's a project. He should be on the practice squad or a 3rd string guy. You don't have a legitimate backup. Mike White wasn't that guy. You went out and got Tim Boyle. Well, the Jaguars went and got Mac Jones. The Seattle Seahawks got Sam Howell. The other guy got freaking Kenny Pickett. The Steelers signed Russell Wilson for $1 and went out and got Justin Fields.
You forgot about one key player who should have been our backup, who we should have traded for. Do you know who the back? I'm going to give you you know who the backup is in LA? Not the Raiders, the Rams. You know who it is?
Who?
And the guy would have been perfect for this system. His name is Jimmy Garoppolo. How did he end up there?
Jimmy G. Yeah, for sure.
There
That's
you go.
what I'm saying. Miami, should have a legitimate backup back there to come in and play. Because guess what?
He's an indie.
No matter how you feel about Skyler, whether you like him or you don't or whatever as your quarterback, or you feel like, man, we can still do this with Skyler. The truth is you can't. As long as Skyler's at quarterback, there's no chance. The fact of the matter is Miami, I'm seeing already pictures online. You got the Tannehills and you got the Toms and whatever. Look, Tua's going to come back unless he comes out tomorrow and goes, you know what, guys, I'm done. Then Miami's in the shit, But the fact of the matter is Miami needs to go and really find themselves a veteran quarterback out there, whomever that may be, because you're not going to be doing anything else as long as anyone else is the starting quarterback for the Dolphins. But
by the way, I don't think it'll be his decision, by the way.
Well, we'll see. Anyway.
The fact that his whole family, the fact that his wife, his brother, his kids are all there. He came from a very traditional family, very religious family. If his parents and his wife tell him, we don't want you to play football anymore, this is not funny anymore, we want you as a father, he's not going to play anymore. By the way, I for his sake.
Well, his mother was really about him retiring a couple years back. She pushed for it.
By the way,
so damn well what she said.
By the way, Steve, I don't know if you're going to agree, and I'll let you go. I actually think that I've learned this tonight, and I said this always. Mike McDaniel may have brought out the best in Tua, but he's actually dangerous for Tua, because what I've learned now is he's so attached to him. When you get obsessed with someone or you're so attached to that person, you're his best friend, you're like he kissed him on the forehead. You're going to see Andy Reid kissing Patrick Mahomes on the forehead when he comes off and scores a touchdown. My point is that the relationship is actually an unhealthy relationship.
It's toxic.
It's a sometimes positive relationships you get too close to somebody. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you lose sight of he's your friend or you his coach. So and the thing is that at one point, what are you going to do? You're never going to bench him. You're never going to get out of your own way for him if he's not playing well. For me, as a whole, the foundation of this team right now is too laissez-faire. Like the fact that I don't know if you saw this, they were losing 31-10. And with 6 minutes left, you see Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle laughing on the bench. Their team is getting their butts kicked. They're telling jokes on the bench. I'll give class, by the way, to Josh Allen, who went on Thursday Night Football with the team and says outside, and we've all agreed this. Steve, you've even said this.
Yeah. I'm reading it right now.
One of the nicest guys. Tua off the
Josh
field.
Josh Allen on Tua right now on Thursday Night Football postgame. If you know Tua outside of football, you can't help but feel for him. He's a great football player, but he's even a greater human being. He's one of the best humans on the planet. I got a lot of love for him. That's on NFL on Prime postgame.
Yeah.
It just sucks. It sucks. It's tough. Steve, any follow up to what? Evan was saying?
Yeah. I just wanted to piggyback on kind of what both of you were saying and everything. You both make good points, and let's talk a little bit about McDaniel. My whole thing about McDaniel is my biggest pet peeve with him is he treats his players like he's a social worker. Okay, that he does, and point is, all this off season during the training camp, right? This load management crap. He coddles these guys, he babies these guys, and I'm looking at it in the psychological aspect of the game, right? These guys a lot of these guys weren't playing together in training camp or in preseason. So the chemistry's not there. Their bodies are not conditioned, right? You could tell on the field by looking at them how lackadaisical they were. Like you brought it up. Yeah, you brought it up. No energy, no urgency to win the game. I mean, really? Waddle, Hill, what are they doing? Oh, this is a social club. This is Mike McDaniel's country club here in Florida. Tyreek got paid big bucks. He got his guaranteed monies. Ramsey, our number one safety, our cornerback, supposed to be the best cornerback in football, got his pants beat. Missed a bunch of tackles out on the field, right? And then you got Waddle. He got paid. He did his best out there. right? He did his best. I can't complain about him.
No, yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. But then you're paying Tua, right? I was the guy that said, "Hey, let's wait. Let's back off. Let's let him play out his 5th-year option. He's got an injury history. I'm not wishing anything like this on anybody, but it's just the facts. He had an injury history and concussions. Okay? Now,
Real Jose.
it's just ridiculous the way that they were playing like with no urgency at all. Like Bobby said, I don't get it. You're down. What are you doing? You're playing conservative. You're playing scared.
3:30, 2 timeouts. They killed 3.5 minutes to go for a field goal.
Yeah, and they're playing scared right before they won in the halftime. They didn't even try to kick a field goal or try to get a first down.
Yeah.
They just gave up.
Yeah.
They gave up in the 3rd quarter. They just gave up.
Yeah.
Hill gave up.
Yeah.
Waddle gave up. They just gave up.
Yep.
What did the coach do? Look in there on the damn field with a dumbfounded face.
But Steve,
Like he didn't know what to do. He was
Steve.
dumbfounded. He was bewildered.
Steve.
There it is.
Steve.
Perfect timing.
Steve.
It's for you, my man.
There was a game in LA after the San Francisco game where Tua had a bad game. The one thing, Bobby, and you can say to everybody here, everyone went to me. He's a rookie head coach. It's his 2nd year. How many times are we going to tell the person the dog ate my homework? He is not a good football coach. He may be a phenomenal play designer, but he is not a head football coach. He is not Kyle Shanahan. He is not Sean McVay. He is not Matt LaFleur. The only difference Zach Taylor has is that Joe Burrow, even now, looks lost. But when he did it that year, Joe Burrow played out of his mind. The problem, he just lucked out. Like Joe Burrow hasn't been the same quarterback. And Joe Burrow's injury prone. And look how they did this week. Mike McDaniel is like I said to you, Bobby, on pregame. I love the guy as a person. He's cool. He's chill. I want to hang out with him. But as my head football coach, not in a million years, because he doesn't care about the same way. Why they pay all these guys? Because Stephen Ross at this point realizes he may never win a Super Bowl. So let me have the sexiest, coolest offense. I have the Formula One. I have the tennis. I have the fastest show on turf. But what people don't seem to realize, and I laugh at it when the people say this, oh, this is the greatest show. He has not. The defense has kept him in every single football game for 8 or 9 consecutive football games. The offense has been crap. And what do I say? Every time that Skylar Thompson or Mike White or Teddy Bridgewater comes into a football game, you know they're never going to score a living point. They'll be lucky if they score a touchdown because they are not prepared for that scheme. And I couldn't believe this. How many times on 4th down? It was laughable. Alec Ingold. How many times are you going to play the same play on 3rd and 1? You don't think that Sean McDermott is going to know that you're going to keep going
One
there?
of the smartest minds, defensive minds in football. You don't
No.
think he's going to know what the hell you're going to do?
Yeah, exactly. How do you do that every single time?
Yeah.
And on every 4th down play, how is it on 4th down you get sacked? How is it on every 4th down you get sacked? That is the worst play calling. How do you not have
That's a timing
idea?
issue.
No,
Yeah.
but that's preparation. I don't care how bad Tua was. I don't care how bad Austin Jackson, how any offensive line player. In the end, that is coaching and development, because you want to know what? They had OTAs. They had training camp. Yes, Chris Greer picks the players in the end, but you have a say on who you want to cut and who you want to play. And the fact of the matter is that Frank Smith, Butch Berry, and yes, you, Mike McDaniel, chose this offense. And the fact that you basically said to us, you could have gone and get Xavier Worthy as your 3rd wide receiver. You could have gone to get Keon Coleman. You chose to go get Chop Robinson. For what reason, I do not know. I like Chop Robinson, but that's not what you needed. You needed a 3rd wide receiver.
Appreciate you, Neil. You're all good,
The
brother.
same way you
Troll
went to
away,
get a
my
3rd
man.
running back. All I want to say overall is that Mike McDaniel is going to be the reason why the Miami Dolphins don't win anything. And the reason why I say this and if he proves me wrong, good luck to him. But there has been Brian Flores did more with less. Adam Gase did more with less. Joe Philbin did more with less. Dave Wanstead did more with less. Cam Cameron did less with less. Tony Sperano did way more with less. This is a guy who's had better players on this roster since the mid-90s. Because we didn't even have Zach Thomas and Jason Taylor with Dan Marino in his prime. We haven't had a team like this since the early 90s when he tore his Achilles and Scott Mitchell went in and somehow won games because that's how good the team was. Mike McDaniel has the best on paper talent in the world in the NFL that the Dolphins have had in 30 years, and he is shitting it down the bed because he thinks it's more important to throw the ball to Grant DuBose, Braxton Berrios, Durham Smythe, and Robbie Chosen. I don't understand. For a guy who loves these star players, he continues to make boneheaded moves. Like, for example, that pass to how many times did the Tyreek Hill flip work? The fact that Tua made these backhanded passes, those things were working. What was he doing when he was throwing to these guys? Because what did we say, Bobby? They're going to put 2 high safeties, keep it in the middle of the field. Why Tua was going for the sidelines, why Tua was doing is because Mike McDaniel is telling him what to do. Because I always told you guys, Mike, he's the one quarterback who I see who does not make changes at the line of scrimmage. He is waiting for McDaniel to tell him what to do. And after he loses his first read, he might make a mistake. He thinks, whatever. He's a good quarterback. He's a great game manager. But in the end, his biggest downfall is Mike McDaniel's stupidity as a head coach. He is a great play caller. A great play designer, but he's not a play caller. As long as he has the clipboard in his hand, looking at plays, looking dumbfounded, this Miami Dolphins team and the three of us and everyone else who I love as Dolphin fandom, because I'm never going to stop being a Dolphin fan. I'm not a Mike McDaniel fan. I'm not a Tua fan. I'm not a Tyreek fan. I'm not an Anthony. I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. Chris Grier and Mike McDaniel are an embarrassment to our fan base right now, because when I see them there, at least Ken Dorsey, when they lost that game, was bowing. Do you see Chris Grier in his new era golf sitting in the thing on his chair? Our offense, we're more worried than you are. The fact that he did that's what's one thing. During that press conference when he was going after the media saying that we know what you guys think about us, but we don't care what you think. He thinks he's smarter than all of us. Mike McDaniel thinks he's smarter than everybody. Your offense has sucked. You have scored 20, you have scored 7, you've scored 13 points a game.
Yeah.
13 points a game over 2 games. Greatest offense. 13 points a game. And the thing is that he could have padded his score. He could have gone for even the 70-20. I want to off topic. A real football coach, if he had the record in sight to break the 70 points, no, I'm going to be a nice guy. I'm not going to put it down Sean Payton's throat. You know what Sean Payton would have done? He would have stomped on your face because it's goddamn football. Stop being everybody's friend. Stop worrying about driving your Bentley and your Gucci thing and your. I'm so he's all it's that person who thinks who's worth $5 million but wants to show off that he's worth $500 million. That's Mike McDaniel. He's all show, but there's no substance to his show. And as long as he is our head coach, unless someone takes the reins from him, the Miami Dolphins are going to fail unless you get a quarterback like Josh Allen or a quarterback like Tom Brady, or these guys don't grow on trees, or Patrick Mahomes, who can win in spite of the stupidity of their head coach.
Yeah, they can carry the team.
He is awful. He is a beautiful person. I understand he cares about Tua. He has a head football coach of a football team, the most dangerous sport in the world. He thinks this is kindergarten. Let's just relax. We don't have to Jalen Ramsey stinks right now because he hardly practiced. I understand he was injured, but then don't play him. Play Storm Duck, because you know what Storm Duck would try. Jalen Ramsey got completely manhandled today. Javon Holland was a ghost. David Long got destroyed. Calais Campbell and Zach Sealy never even heard their names. Why? Because they were hardly on the field. As a whole, Mike McDaniel today, watching him coach, is an embarrassment for the Miami Dolphin fans, because as a coach, you're supposed to be a leader, not a follower, not one of the guys. You're a leader. You're a leader. Because you say this, Bobby, about Brian Flores. We all don't like the way he treated Tua. We think he's not the nicest person in the world. Remember we were talking about the Minnesota game. Did you see how he played, what he did to the New York Giants? He doesn't care. Like, as a Andy Reid, he isn't. They're all nice guys. Kyle Shanahan knew. Look at this. He brought in a quarter. This is a head coach. He brought in whatever he wanted. He brought in. He had a Trent Williams who hardly played. Brandon Ayuk stunk. The Jets should have ran over them, but he brought in a third string running back and destroyed the Jets, who were supposed to have the best defense in the NFL. Mike McDaniel had every opportunity. They were favored today, all because of the aura of Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel is one of the worst coaches in the NFL. He is by far.
All right.
Head
let
coach.
Let me read Mike McDaniel's comments now. He's at the press conference.
By telling jokes.
Let me go ahead and read what he says about Tua here. General comment. He says, "I'm just worried about the human being. From a medical standpoint, I don't approach things that I'm far inferior in expertise. For me to forecast things that I don't know, I don't think that's appropriate." He's talking about his timeline to come back. He goes, "He was in good spirits. I was worried about my guy. It's not something that you ever want to be a part of. It's more about getting a proper procedural evaluation tomorrow and taking it one day at a time. The furthest thing from my mind is a timeline to return." Of course, he's still talking as it goes on. He's very somber. I did hear a little bit of that.
But you hear what you just said there? My guy. Not the Miami Dolphins. Not to my guy. He treats him like you're not, honestly, he's too emotionally invested. We all get emotionally invested in our teams. Like if they play poorly, we're in bid. Like think about this. We get frustrated and angry when our football team loses a football game. Imagine how invested he is in this one human being who he's developed. But now at this point, it's gotten to the point where they're not good for each other. It's time to have a separate. It's time to have They need a break. They need a break. It's not good for Tua.
I think you're a little too caught up in your feelings on McDaniel.
No, because I'm not.
You've been talking for 30 minutes and you're saying the same stuff over and over again. I don't have no issue with what he's saying about Tua or what he feels about Tua. That's just the way he coaches. The Dolphins hired him. The Dolphins are not going to win anything because they're the Dolphins and they have Chris Greer as their general manager. Let's be real. It's not because Mike McDaniel is their head coach. The reason why the Dolphins had the number one offense in football last year was because Mike McDaniel was their head coach.
They scored 70 against Denver. Sorry.
Still. But let's be real. It's because Chris Greer is the general manager. That's why. Not because Adam Gase is any better than Coach McDaniel. It's not because Brian Flores is better than Mike McDaniel, or any of them are better because they didn't win. They didn't win anything. None of them won a playoff game. Tony Sperano did, right? No, he didn't. He didn't win one. He didn't win one. It was Wannstedt. I'm sorry, Dave Wannstedt was the only one who won.
Yeah,
a playoff game.
They didn't have a team like this,
But again, it is part of the problem. He is a part of the problem. Obviously, the play calling was not very good. And the reason why I would say it's Chris Greer is because, again, he's been here. And again, we're more worried about the offensive line than he is. Where's the backups? Where's the depth on this offensive line? There is none. That's why you get rid of one guy. Robert Jones goes down, or Isaiah Wynn goes down. You put in Robert Jones. Take Robert Jones out. You got Lester Cotton. How does that make you feel? Connor Williams probably could have signed him on the cheap, brought him back. You go ahead and you bring in Aaron Brewer. He's supposed to be the savior.
I love Tati.
I agree with him.
Yeah, did you read what my buddy David said?
No, because I'm talking.
Read what he wrote. You'll enjoy it.
I don't want to read it right now. I'll read it right after. And but I will say with Chris Greer, again, where's the backup quarter? Yeah, I know. I saw that. That was
pretty he's probably right.
We're gonna extend it tomorrow. But it's bigger than McDaniel.
I love Jose.
I'm not disagreeing. I think he's a little too deep. I think it's bigger than McDaniel because it's the same thing over and over again. Instead of Miami going out, if you want to decide, okay, hey, while McDaniel is the head coach, we're going to roll with Tua for the next 4 years as our quarterback. Whether you like Tua or not, we're going to, because obviously Stephen Ross wanted to get Tom Brady. Greer or Flores wanted to get Watson. Okay, they wanted to go get someone else. All right, the report was that Flores wanted Jordan Love or Justin Herbert, whatever you want to believe. McDaniel comes in, he says, I could do this. I could work with this guy. They say, okay, we're going to keep him with you. All right, no matter how you feel about him, we're going to do it. Okay, fair enough. He's going to be the quarterback. We got to live with that. We don't have to live with our backups. There's no reason to be loyal to the backup quarterbacks. What have they done? You know the history of your quarterback. You know the history. 2 seasons ago, he was considering retirement. His mom was asking him to retire. He didn't do it. He came back. He played a full season. You expected him to play a full season again? I mean, if you did, I got some land of nothing to sell you. And you don't go and make an effort to draft a backup or to sign a backup. You go and keep Mike White and Skylar Thompson, and then you realize, oh my God, Mike White is not a good backup. I'm going to cut him. Who do you go get? Tim freaking Boyle. So it's bigger than Coach McDaniel. It's Greer. It's a consistent front office. Look, again, it's only week 2. The season's not over. It's a long way to go.
Oh, yes, it is.
Listen, Evan, stop.
Bobby,
Stop.
Bobby, if Tua didn't get hurt today, and like I told you what the narrative is going to be tomorrow, everything people are going to talk about is the fact that the Miami Dolphins, this was their chance. It was at home. The Bills had to travel.
Yeah, Troy,
it was in the humidity.
I don't want to dive into that, but I have a suspicion myself, but I'm not diving. Troy's on something there.
By the way, he looked like he was. By the way, Steve, he looked like he was crying. He looked like he was crying on the sideline after what happened to Tua. He was emotionally. I think one of those things where, like I said to you before, Bobby, and I'm actually being serious. Let's say you're working, right? You're working at your jobs. You get some news that really upsets you. You can't work the rest of the day, right? Mm-hmm. Mike McDaniel, other players like Devon Achane, people go back in. Mike McDaniel should have maybe taken off his headset and given it to John Embry or something. He looked like he had no interest in coaching football after that. And he's supposed to be the guy who's supposed to bring the team together, talk to them, engage with them, go see the players. Instead, he kept his headset on and engaged in the rest of the game. And he looked like he was completely uninvested, uninspired. Because I understand what happened to Tua is awful. We all feel it. We all feel awful. We're all human beings. But the Buffalo Bills, think about this. Josh Allen said these wonderful things about Tua. I guarantee you they're friends off the football field. But when you're on that football field between those hash marks, you are basically playing football and you're playing a game no matter what. And then after you deal with it. But Mike McDaniel looked like his team, because you always follow your leaders. There's a reason why your job, the person, whoever is your president, or when Steve was in the military, if he had someone above him, there's a reason why they're in those levels. They're supposed to lead you. When I go to my job every day, I have 20. I work for a company that has under 30 people. I run an office. When the people are there, I am there. When they need something, they come to me. 25 people come to me. If I have a bad day or I'm mad at my kids and I bring that to the office and I show that to my employees, I look like that's not what you're supposed to do. Tonight, what I saw as a football coach, he looks like he just wants to be one of the people. He's not there to lift people. He's there to be their friend, but he's not there to lift people. That's the problem with this team. The same thing with Chris Greer. He was a yes guy with Flores. There's no accountability on this team. There's no ownership of responsibility. It's adversity is opportunity. It's all lingo. It's all cliches. What does that do for anybody who wins football games? There's a reason why other teams are way ahead of us, because of the mentality. You talk about one of your favorite coaches in the NFL, the Lions, Dan Campbell. When you see that guy on the sideline, he is invested in his team and he's a leader of men. This is a guy who's, this is going to judge us. We're going to either take this as a positive or take it as a negative. We all know. Don't lie to people. If Skylar Thompson's your quarterback the rest of the season, or Tim Boyle is your quarterback, you're going 1-16. You're going 1-16. You can't win with these two, because even when the Bills weren't even trying and you were in the red zone twice and you had 3 downs, you couldn't run the ball, and Skylar Thompson couldn't hit a soccer net. This is the guy you believe should be your backup. You accepted that as your backup. as an overall whole, all of us who invest our time, the hours you put into this network, Bobby, we as fans deserve better than what we get from Chris Greer, Mike McDaniel, and Stephen Ross for the return. We all talked about this. I don't know if you know, but I'm sure Malloy knows about this, Steve, about the complaints that happened with the Miami Dolphins for the people. I even spoke to Hank about this, about how the season ticket holders are treated. They don't get it in a nice box. They get it in an email. Mm-hmm. What do they get in the mail and by email? A postcard to upgrade. No, thank you. No, let's upgrade to get the. This is what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with this organization that looks nice on the outside. It's like going to a beautiful $30 million home, and when you walk in, everything's destroyed inside. So it looks nice on the outside. It looks all pretty, but on the inside, the foundation of this team is on the verge of crumbling. And this is a guy who has to lead this team. The way they showed here today in the first drive of the football game, they were not prepared for this football game. Who's supposed to prepare you for a football game? Your head coach.
Yeah.
And at least Bobby, I've been consistent since that. I've been consistent not for 5 games. I've been consistent about this since the Chargers game 2 years ago.
Okay. Steve?
I'm dumbfounded for words tonight. I really am. It was just embarrassing. It was just embarrassing for the Dolphin fans. It was embarrassing for the organization all around. Who played well today besides Achane? Maybe Juno Smith? Maybe?
Janu did good, I think.
I mean, he had a pretty good game. I'm glad to see him involved. I'm kind of looking forward right now. As you said, Bobby, this is only the second game of the season. But I think we can all look at this as a measuring stick going forward, especially now with the quarterback situation.
Yeah, you got to adjust your expectations now. Yeah, for sure.
We got to adjust our expectations. Look, I said it on the 305
Sports Now.
Yes,
305 Sports Now with Will.
Yeah, I think I said it on his show. I said, the way I feel about the Dolphins right now is I expect the worst and hope for the best.
Yeah.
That's a good way. And that's the way that's my philosophy this year with the Miami Dolphins from the beginning. From the beginning. But, going forward, I mean, I see what McDaniel was trying to do. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He was trying to mix it up. He was trying to get Tua to go through his progressions. And he was trying. Tua is trying to go through his progressions. That's for sure. But he's going to struggle. Okay. This has been a failure with not with Tua, so to speak, but with the coaching that Tua has had from the beginning. Instead of them putting in a pro set, instead of them putting in there, having him go through progressions, having him read defenses, they've catered to his strengths as opposed to his weaknesses. And I know Brian Flores wanted to win. Okay, he wanted to win. Okay, so he was trying to put Tua in that best position, but he failed Tua as well. McDaniel came over here and he had a different version of what he was going to do with Tua by utilizing his strengths. Okay. And that's what's happening now. As far as Tua goes, he hasn't learned going through the struggles of going through those, progressions, finding his second reads, his third reads, and all that. And that's not his fault. Okay. A lot of college players come out, they come out and they come into the pros and they're that way. They're not, even Tom Brady mentioned, they're not going through the progressions anymore. It's a quick read, quick throw, first read type of play now for quarterbacks. But so that's the problem with Tua right now is you're seeing him going through his progressions and he's struggling with it because this is all new to him. Okay. Now, as far as the receivers go, we talked about Dubose and they were going to Chosen a lot. Okay, I get it. And you know why I get it? Because Tyreek and Waddle were getting physically beaten and bullied on that field. They were playing man press. A lot of times they were playing some zone too, but most of the time they were playing man press, and you could see Tyreek coming off the line. They were putting a hand on him and they let him go. They push him and they let him go. That's throwing that timing off big time. So Tua saw that. He was aware of that. And so what did McDaniel and him do in training camp? You saw it. He went through he was giving him a second read, a check down, right? And that's what's been happening. McDaniel has been trying to change it up, get Tua to go through his progressions, and making it easy, the easiest way possible for Tua to do it. So he's mixing in his quick release and his checkdowns, which are primarily his second read, because that wasn't his first read throwing to Achane or any of those other running backs. Those were checkdowns. Now a couple of them were in a play design, right? But you saw Tua going through his progressions, and you saw him looking over there, whoever it was, Waddle, Tyreek, or whatever. They weren't open. So what did he do? He went to his check down. So that's the deal with Tua right now. And this is what McDaniel is trying to do. Now he's trying to incorporate that into the system, and it's not working. It's not working because this hasn't been Tua's hasn't worked on this from his rookie year when he was with Flores. So I blame the coaches on that part of his development.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, again, like I said, even before the injury, I mean, obviously the focus is going to be on the injury. Everyone is doing it again on X. I'm trying to follow what everybody's saying.
Yeah,
he needs to step off and everything. We know everyone's gonna have an opinion, and that's a personal decision. I will say, I mean, again, he struggled in this game, bad. I mean, it was just something off with him. I do understand what they were trying to do in the first half. They were trying to mix it up, as you were saying, and I thought it was going well. I thought, okay, I like what they were doing. They were kind of confusing the defense, but as the game went on, and as obviously Buffalo and Sean McDermott, as smart as they are, start to adjust, it looked like they couldn't figure it out. They couldn't open up the offense like they did last season.
Exactly.
And that was a struggle, obviously defensively as well, to tape that thing. It wasn't, obviously, coming off an interception to start, bad field position, they score right away. But at first, the defense looked like it was going to go, okay, they're going to hang. And then they started to fall off as well, where Buffalo started figuring out and dicing them up. It was all around a bad game for the team. I know Coach McDaniel just said, too, it's only week 2. This was a gut punch. It's a divisional game. I understand that. And he's going to stand behind his quarterback, whomever that is, and right now it's Skylar Thompson.
No, he said he believes in Skylar Thompson because Skylar Thompson won an elimination game against Zach Wilson. Well, it wasn't even Zach Wilson. It was just Joe Flacco, and we scored like 13 points that game. We won like 13-6. All the top people are saying he looks somber. He looks distracted. He doesn't look right. He looks off. Then you want to know what? If you look off, to come out and look like that, you're actually bringing down your team versus bringing up your team. This is a time where, yes, you have to suck it up. But when you go up and you're talking, this is what people are going to be reading about. People are looking at what he's reflecting, what the team is feeling. And remember, Tua's not the only guy on this football team, right? So if Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and all these guys who went back out on the field, Devontae, are able to compartmentalize what's going on for the public. If you're having a bad day, like I said to you before, Bobby, you don't show it you don't show it to your kids, right? You could privately say it to your wife, but you don't show it to your kids. You don't take your feelings out on your kids. Mike McDaniel is taking out his feelings on everybody. That's what he did when the moment Tua got hurt, everyone felt what he was feeling. But you want to know what? He's supposed to be that person who's supposed to lift you up. Everyone else was able to move on in those moments, no matter how hard it was. He didn't. He got worse. And to say that, this is a gut punch, the way he's talking now, he's talking in riddles to get away from the situation, because the last place he wanted to be was there. But people are so confused by it's word salad to me. It's word salad, the way he's talking. This is in the end, he is so tunnel visioned about Tua. He can't get away from it. I think also part of the reason he believes in Skylar is because he's trying to protect his number one. And by the way, after all this, if Teron Armstead, also, you know what bothered me in tonight's game? I don't know if it bothered you, Steve and Bobby.
What's that?
If at this point, if you're going to give up in the game, right? If you're going to give up, and we knew they gave up after the first half,
yeah,
or after Tua got hurt,
yeah,
why wouldn't you why is Kendall Lamb in the game? Play Patrick Paul. Develop the quarter. If you're going to develop if you're not going to try, bring in your crappy players. Don't keep Devon Achane in there anymore. Don't even keep Jeff Wilson. Play Jalen Wright. Play Patrick Paul. Play Storm Duck. Play Elijah Campbell. Why are your so-called good players, Jalen Wright? Why are they still on the field?
Because then you would have said that they gave up. Look, he pulled everybody out. They gave up. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, no. Listen, shut up for a minute. Shut up.
I was still talking.
You've been talking forever. Like, every time I say something, you say something else. Just take a breath for a minute. Take a pill and chill for a minute. My goodness. That's, you're diving really into it. First of all, who's the franchise quarterback? Full disclosure. Everybody knows what Steve Malloy thinks of Tua as a franchise quarterback. Everybody knows what I thought of, right? We all know what it was. But it is what it is. You learn to accept that reality, right? Who's the most important player on this football team? Fishtank Hank says it starts and ends with a quarterback, right?
That's right.
Right? McDaniel came in here. Why? Why did they hire Coach McDaniel, who's never an offensive coordinator? He was an offensive coordinator for one season under a Kyle Shanahan team who called the plays. He didn't do anything else. He was a tight ends coach, a running backs coach. Then he became a offensive coordinator, and then he was hired as a Dolphins coach. He never had any experience.
Was he an offensive coordinator?
Did he play one? Did he have one season as an offensive coordinator?
I don't think he ever was an offensive coordinator. But anyway,
but either way, we know the story there. He was brought in to quote unquote save Tua's career. He knows that.
Right.
Evan's been saying all offseason that Tua and McDaniel are tied to the hip. So if that's the case, why are we hampering down on any? And first off, any head coach is going to go for the guy that's hurt. If it was Tyreek Hill on the field laying out there, McDaniel would have been walking him to the sideline. I don't know about kissing him. Would have walked him to the sideline. Would have been talking about him after the game. I mean, let's talk about the reality here. Let's stop going so deep. The Dolphins sucked on all levels today. It was bad. From play calling, the depth issues became a problem. Tua was a problem. The only decent thing in this game was Devon Achane. Yep. I mean,
on offense,
that dude is a superstar. I mean, and once McDaniel could figure out, hey, we got three guys on here that we could go around with Jalen Waddle, Tyreek, and Devon Achane, we might see a viable offense again. But this is bigger than the head coach and, hampering on every little thing. And I agree. Harrison has threw it in there right now. We can't next week. You go next week with Skylar Thompson as your quarterback. It's going to be hard to pick Miami. It's going to be very hard. I don't think Skylar Thompson has thrown a touchdown in his career. Maybe preseason, but not the regular season, not in the playoffs. He didn't do it. So you're going to be hard pressed to say, oh man, I think Miami could win this football game, no matter who they're playing. But you go and get possibly, you got Jimmy G. Could you go and pull off a trade with the Rams? Can you go look at Ryan Tannehill and try to convince him, hey, can you play for a few weeks? Look, he didn't do it with Minnesota. I thought Minnesota would have been a smart move. He didn't go to Minnesota. Sam Darnold killed it. So they're going to roll with Sam Darnold. Can they convince Ryan Tannehill to come out for a few weeks? And anybody can make all the jokes they want about Ryan Tannehill. The fact is, he's a playoff-proven quarterback. He's a veteran. He's not some great. No one's expecting him to be, anything big. But could he be a Nick Foles? Could it be a Joe Flacco from last season? Possibly. There's another name out there. And again, that's a whole deal. Now, okay, Trey Lance with the Dallas Cowboys. Do you call Dallas and say, hey, what's your deal on him? He knows the offense. The other name, of course, that's popular with Stephen Ross, if it's a long-term injury, it's some certain guy who's in the interview booth right now. And that's Tom Brady. That's the next question.
Whoa.
That's the next question. Right there. If Tua's out for an extended period of time, do you really roll this season for the rest of the season with all the expectations that is on this football team with McDaniel as the coach? with Chris Greer as the GM, with the depth that we had, Steve, you had 10 wins, right? You were 10-7.
10-7.
10-7 with Coach McDaniel.
Yes.
With the issues at offensive line, with
Yes.
the issues at linebacker, with Chris Greer as your GM. Evan, what was your record before the season? What was your record before the season? Okay. I was at 12-5.
12-5, in spite of him. In spite of him.
In spite of McDaniel, in spite of Greer, in spite of the linebackers, in spite of the quarterback, that was the proof. Those were the records. What did I say? A lot of that hinged on Tua Tagovailoa. Nothing else. Any other guy could go down, and as long as you had your quarterback, you're good. You don't have your quarterback right now. The worst that could have happened. So right now, Miami needs to figure it out. McDaniel, if he is attached to hip to Tua, as much as Evan is saying he is, and impacted the way he is, he's going to have to wake up tomorrow, figure out what the hell's going on with his quarterback, and then he's going to have to go out there and make a decision with Chris Greer saying, okay, either I really believe in Skyler, and I believe in him more than, which again, they think they're smarter than everybody else, and I get it, they get paid these big bucks, but they believe their offensive line is better than we do. They believe their situation is better than we do. So maybe they believe Skylar Thompson is the next, I don't know, Brock Purdy. Who knows? But right now, that's not the case. This is a bigger issue. And it's just week 2. You know, this season's going to continue. And everyone who's calling for, oh, it's over, the season's over, will be the same people saying, oh, we're going to the Super Bowl. And 5 weeks, the Dolphins win 3 straight. It's how the season goes on. Evan, a couple seasons ago, was saying it's over. We're not going to the playoffs. We're done. And then we were in the playoffs.
We backed into the playoffs. And
Still made the playoffs. You called yourself wrong. The fact that
I was wrong.
We're all caught in our feelings. Now you're talking. We're all caught in our feelings because of the big loss. If the Dolphins would have lost this game and it was closer and it was a back and forth, I don't think anybody would be that butthurt over the whole situation, because that it was the way it was, and it came out the way it did against Buffalo, who's owned us. Now the Dolphins are 1-8 against the Buffalo Bills, this current streak that they're on. It feels like this is a deflating loss. Killer loss. Any follow-up, Steve?
No, as you said, Bobby, it is the second game of the season. I would feel a lot better if we did have our starting quarterback, but we've got to move on with who we have. It is what it is. Hopefully Mike McDaniel can put together some packages for Skylar Thompson, to play in the system. And we just move on, and we just got to take it a day, a game at a time. Game at a time. In 10 days, he's got plenty of time. He's got 10 days, and then we're off to Seattle to play the Seahawks. So I'm not calling the season over yet. I'm not going to do that because we still don't know the whole, ordeal with Tua, if he's going to come back in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or not. We don't know if that's going to be the case. I don't know. I just hope that McDaniel can put something together for Skylar, because I know he's probably going to play next week, and we can maybe we can skim by and get a win out there. That's what I'm hoping.
Does anybody know? I saw that there. Troy said it. Crossing my fingers that the Finns protected themselves against injury with Tua's contract. I have to assume they did. I know he has $100 million guaranteed, so it sets him up, God forbid, that he can't do it anymore. But does the Dolphins have a protection where they could doesn't kill them in the cap if it goes down that way?
I think he's guaranteed fully $90 million.
I thought it was 100, but
no, he's got an injury clause in there. If he gets injured, he still gets his monies.
Okay.
If he gets injured, he's going
to get $100 million guaranteed.
Now, if he would stay healthy and all that, he's still getting $90 million guaranteed, period. But if he stayed healthy, then yeah, each game that they win, he would have got a bonus, and there's all kinds of incentives and stuff in there. But bottom line is, if he was to retire or never play another game of football, he and his family are set, for life. So
Yeah.
it's not like he has to go back on the field in order to make money. He's got his money. He's set. It's him and his family set for life. So
Amando Salgaro says quarterback move that makes the most sense for the Dolphins to help the quarterback situation immediately is trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. He's played in Shanahan and McDaniel's system and went to the Super Bowl with them 1 year. Is it a great answer? No, but something to consider.
Yeah, it's definitely a stopgap.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely a stopgap. So I already know the answer to this from the both of you, but I'm going to ask anyway. You're Chris Greer or Coach McDaniel, whatever makes you feel better. Quarterback situation. Let's say Tua's out 2, 3, 4 weeks, something like that. Worst case scenario, 4 weeks, right? I don't know. I don't remember how long he was out the last time he got the major concussion. Let's say 4 weeks. Those 4 weeks, do you go, okay, we're going to roll with Skylar Thompson? Do you call LA and try to trade for Jimmy G? Or do you call your old quarterback who's sitting there in free agency in Ryan Tannehill?
Well, we're speculating right now because, like I said, we don't
It's
know.
Speculation for sure. We don't know what the deal is. I'm saying if it's a 4 to 6 week type of concussion, what are you doing?
So going with that, I'm just going to go by. I think Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel are arrogant enough to say, no, we're going to stick with Skylar Thompson. We're going to play him the duration of the remaining games, 4, 5, 6 games, whatever it is.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that is more than likely the case. But I'm asking if you were the one running this team.
Oh, if I was the running this team, Tua wouldn't be the quarterback. But if I if I was running the team, yeah, you asking the wrong guy.
I know. But
I would say at this time, yeah, I would try to go out and I would try to get somebody that has a familiarity. I can't even talk.
Yeah, familiarity with the offense.
Yeah, familiarity with the offense and the system, and that would be Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance, even.
Okay, there you go. So one of those two guys. So you would go
one
for
of those
the trade over the free agency option. Okay.
Yeah.
Evan, what would you do in that situation?
In this situation, I would not bring in a quarterback that understands this offense.
Oh, okay.
Because it's about time that Mike McDaniel, as he will continue to be our head coach and make my life miserable, that he alters his offense and tries something different, because his offense, not for 1 game, not for 2 games, not for 3, not for 4.
McDaniel's face every time Evan talks.
Not for 4, not for 5, not
but
for 6.
Evan, that wasn't the question. The question was, what would you do?
You brought it back to
I just said, if I was me, I would not sign a quarterback that allows Mike McDaniel.
No, Evan, you don't get it. You're not allowed to say the name Mike McDaniel. He's not in the picture.
Okay,
it's you.
You're running the team.
You're running the team.
I'd fire them both tomorrow. I'd fire them both tomorrow.
That's not the question.
Ryan Tannehill, because Ryan Tannehill will force him to. Ryan Tannehill will force him to run the ball more, and pick and choose his throws. He'll utilize Devon Achane a lot more, and he'll pick and choose his throws. Because I'm being very, very serious with the two of you. I'm actually not joking around about something has to be changed. And if Mike McDaniel is your head coach, his offensive scheme, what is the word we always use? Adjustments. Yeah. He doesn't adjust. You saw Skylar Thompson today. Skylar Thompson does not fit well into the Mike McDaniel scheme. He had twice. Julian Hill. They had Julian Hill in the end zone. They had opportunities to throw the ball. No one caught anything because he's inaccurate and the way the scheme works. They didn't have any time to throw. Skylar Thompson with his happy feet didn't even have time to move. They're in the end, we know Skylar Thompson's going to be the quarterback for the next couple of weeks. As I said, but I want to answer you guys both this question because I answered it earlier. If you're Tua Tagovailoa, was tonight your last for the today his it was tonight his last NFL football game? I say yes.
I'm not ready to make that determination
I
yet.
said, would it be? Would it be?
Oh.
Would you tell him it's his last game tonight? Would you let him play again?
Would I? As you mean, if I was a coach,
As a human being?
as a human being, I've had 4 concussions, so I know what it's like. And I would say, yeah, I would advise him, as physical as this. He's gonna hit his head again. There's no doubt. It's football. Okay, whether the way that he ran and he put his head down, that wasn't what gave him the concussion. What gave him the concussion is when he hit the ground. If you notice, he hit his head on the ground. Okay, every player in football is going to hit their head on the ground. It's going to happen again. So my advice to Tua Tagovailoa as a human being would be, take your money and run, and I would not be mad. Okay, I'm looking to you as a human being, a family man, a good guy, great character guy. Just go home to your family. You're a smart guy. Invest your monies, which you probably have already. Do commercials, whatever. Be an announcer. Don't play football anymore, man. Because I will tell you right now. It's going to happen again. He got lucky last year because of the quick release. He didn't do a lot of running. He was a little more bulkier, and they protected him. They protected him last year.
The NFLPA and the NFL might force him to retire. They may not want the liability.
Yeah.
They may not want the liability of
Good
him
point.
getting back on that field, because if, God forbid, something happens, because the next concussion could do a lot more damage.
It's life-threatening.
So they may not let him.
Well, again, he's already had 3 or 4 major concussions.
Three diagnosed, 4 that we know of. Because the Buffalo one we know he had.
And so, I mean, and you see people like Chris Nowinski, you see former players come out and saying, dude, you may need to consider, what his family is saying. And he met with the best neurologists out there, and he probably heard all this. I didn't understand the question at first. I didn't know if you were asking if it was us playing and dealing with this, or if we were running it.
If you were to, in your mind, do you believe he should have played his last game, or do you think he will play his last game? You can answer both.
I think he's too stubborn to step away if it's left up to him. Yeah. I think he's too stubborn. I think as a competitor, we know he wants to play. He's going to try to find his way to play. He didn't listen to his family the first time, obviously. If this is, we haven't heard from him. We'll hear more tomorrow. Get out of here with that. We haven't heard more. We'll hear more tomorrow. If I was advising him because of what, first off, it's not like, we didn't notice the concussion. Like, he got back up and then later you find out, he had a concussion. He was able to play through it and whatever. No, these were concussions where, you see his fingers stretch out. You see his arm stretch out.
He's doing the fencing thing.
He's looking, he has a seizure. This is scary shit. I mean, and so
life-threatening.
If I'm advising him, if I'm on the team, or and obviously I know how much he means to the football team. If I'm on the team and I actually do care about this person as a person, I'm gonna say, man, I want you here. I want you in this building. I want you on the field. I want you being my starting quarterback. If this was, because we don't have anybody better anyway. But I care about you as a human being. I want you to live. I want you to have a crawl. We know too many horror stories about these guys years later. I mean, again, one of my favorite Dolphins growing up. He played for the Chargers and the Dolphins and the Patriots, was Junior Seau.
Junior Seau, yep.
And you saw what happened to him. We know what happened to him. And I'm not knock on wood. I ain't saying, but what I'm saying is this stuff can mess with you. It messes with your brain, mental health. It really screws you up. So I hope that if it was as bad as it looked, that his family, the staff sits down with him. And again, I don't want him to go. I mean, but the reality is, it's like, listen, you got your money. It's guaranteed. You're good, brother. You're good. Yeah. Look at your 2 children. You got beautiful kids, bro. You got a beautiful wife. Live your life, man. You ran the number 1 offensive football last year. You were, you one of the bigger names in football just by your brand alone. Look what you did at Alabama. You won a national championship. You came back from a major injury. You have a lot of shit to be grateful, but you have a whole life left.
Mm-hmm.
Why do this? Again, it becomes a tough decision because you might go, look, I know you want to come back, but we can't have you come back. This is it. You have to do it for him. And you got to do it for your team as well, because you don't want a bad situation going on the field. I don't know, it's just concussion after concussion. It sucks because he played all through last year. He got hit, got back up, was fine. But again, as Evan brought up earlier, you saw his head bounce off the floor. That's all it took. The smash on the hip of DeMar Hamlin and the head bounce on the floor. It's going to happen again, Steve, as Steve said. So at that point, it's a great question by Evan, because it's like it's a tough answer, because you got to try to convince this guy, or basically tell him, dude, you're done. And then if you're Miami, as my grandfather would say, you're fooked. He didn't say F-U-C-K. He would say you fooked with F, just to keep it clean. He could say the whole word, but he would say, we're fooked. You're fooked. So, and Miami would be. But the thing Miami has, and here's, you could say a silver lining, is they do have Tyreek, Waddle, even Coach McDaniel. And I said, though, my thing was McDaniel said, unless, of course, you're 1-16, like Evan said, and, it's totally over. But, knowing Stephen Ross, he's too loyal. He'd fire Greer, keep McDaniel, fire McDaniel, and keep make another coach for Greer. But I don't want to go there yet. What I'm saying is the silver lining is you have all these guys in place. You have them for 4 years. If this was the case and we're losing and we lose Tua, you have it all set. You have 2 first-round picks next season, I think.
I think so.
Trade up and go get your guy and think about what you're giving that rookie.
Yeah, and
I hate
Bobby,
to say that with second week in the season, but
no, I agree.
Again,
I agree. But Bobby, just to piggyback on that, it's kind of going off track a little bit on what you were getting at. But my thing is, they should have been drafting a quarterback, and I don't mean a 3rd or 5th or 7th. I mean a first-round quarterback. Okay, they haven't drafted a first-round quarterback, and I forgot how it was, like 40-something years or something like that. Yeah. They haven't drafted a quarterback in the first round. Yep. I think Marino was the last quarterback that was drafted in the first round. Other than Tua.
Tannehill.
Was he drafted in the first round?
Yes, he was. Yeah, he
was. Okay, so it was Tannehill.
7th round pick, right? 7th overall pick.
Okay, yeah. But what my point is, since the Miami Dolphins have been an organization, they've only drafted Greasy, Tannehill, and Tua. And I think there's one more in there, and I don't remember who it was. 4 quarterbacks in Dolphins history since 1966. That's all they drafted in the first round. 4 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
There's some teams that draft a quarterback every year in the first round.
We can't give up. No. And
and that's the problem. In a case like this, that is your solution. You have somebody like Green Bay does it, right? You got somebody to come in, they could have had somebody playing behind Tua 2 years ago. So not a Skylar Thompson, not a Mike White, not a Teddy Bridgewater, because he was a stopgap too. I mean, they should have dropped somebody, a really good quarterback, put him behind Tua, right? Put him behind Tua and let him develop.
Yeah.
That's the smart way to do it.
Yep. Look at this.
They wouldn't be in this position.
We're got to go into work. We got to go to work now. This is the case. They got to go to work. Stay, on the clock draft show. So,
and I don't know if you realize this. He's wearing the most protective helmet in the NFL.
Yes.
He's wearing the most protective helmet in the NFL.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point, man.
And I just want to give you some clarity, because I have Bobby knows this. Bobby's seen pictures. I have one of my twins who's 9 years old, who, when he was in grade 1, banged his head. They didn't tell the school. Didn't tell me. He came out of school. They said he hurt himself in the back. He hurt himself, but everything seems fine. Didn't do any testing. Came in. Didn't even know who I was. My son didn't go to school for a month. Had to do therapy to get his brain back because he was badly concussed. Mm-hmm. If I'm Tua Tagovailoa, I never jump on that field again. Like, as a fan, I pressured. Mm-hmm. I don't think they'll let him come back on the field, because the pressure, you're hearing it from everybody. Emmanuel Ocho talking about a 25-year-old teammate who had 4 concussions, who had CTE, who died at 25. You have one of the most, we think we're Tua supporters, some of us. Big O is go doesn't want Stephen A. Smith tomorrow. Every single big wig who's a talking head is going to be talking about this. It is going to be leading on it because of the story. The pressure on the Miami Dolphins, if Mike McDaniel brings him back because he says he's good, the pressure on it will be a public relations disaster for the Dolphins right now.
Especially if it happened again. Especially if it
happens again. One more time, well, they're screwed. But
yeah.
My point is, I wouldn't.
Oh well, you're not wrong. I mean, the pressure was on them already 2 seasons ago. Remember?
Yeah.
And when he came back, so damn well tomorrow all the outlets are going to be about.
He hasn't learned his lesson, by the way. That's the worst part. We talked about this at the beginning of the show, Bobby.
Yeah.
And you every time 2 years ago after he came back before Green Bay,
yep,
you were losing his mind on him. The way he was running and putting his head down.
First. Yep.
He knew what he was doing tonight. He's an athlete. He can't get out of his own head. But the problem is that when people lost it on Josh Allen a couple of days ago, that he was jumping in the air and getting hit by 3 players. Josh Allen's twice the size of him. This is a guy put his head down. They gave Josh Poyer, who didn't do it on purpose, a 15 personal foul and almost threw him out of the game because of the head-on-head on the play that he did.
Right.
They're very protective of people's heads now, especially with CTE lost. I'm telling you, it's unless if the NFL lets him play, they may let him come back next year. If they let him back in for the next couple of weeks, they're not going to let him on a plane. If they pass him on protocol in a week and let him play in the next 1 to 2 games, the Dolphins are going to look like absolute dreck. So from a football perspective, if Mike McDaniel truly believes, because we won an elimination game by scoring 12 or 13 points, or the fact that he actually had the audacity to say Scarlett Thompson, one of the reasons why we almost won a playoff game. No, it wasn't. It was Zach Sealer, Christian Wilkins, and everybody else around him in spite of him. If he truly believes what he's spewing, because that's his PR, I understand if it's PR, but if he truly believes that and then thinks that for the next 4 or 5 weeks they can win to get to the bye, I think he's trying to make it to the bye in his head. Like, let's get to the bye. We can beat No, I'm just saying. Oh,
yeah. No, I agree.
I think he thinks we could beat Tennessee. We could maybe beat Seattle if we can get to the bye 3-2 or 2-3. We still have a chance.
That's exactly what they're thinking. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
If that's their mentality, they don't want to. It's a sense of, like I said, the culmination. I'll tell you this, Bobby. I said this in the pregame show. I like him as a person. The culmination for me was when you have 3.5 minutes. You have a chance to be down a score, or maybe 2 scores at worst, and you take 3.5 minutes off the clock and play like you're trying to kill the clock to win the game, or to just get out of there, and it's literally the second quarter. That as a football coach, either you don't know what you're doing or you're a complete moron. One or the other. Rather, if he admits he doesn't know what he's doing, I'll accept that. But or he's just a moron. But the whole culmination of all this, what makes me really sad about all this is that I feel bad for the human being, but it's foreshadowing how really myopic and how inept this organization is with the talent they have on the field beyond their superstar players. Because even their superstar players look gassed, they look tired, they look not ready, they look out of shape, they look like it's a country club.
Yeah, the whole the halftime, or the play before halftime was ridiculous.
Yeah.
That whole
exactly.
Whatever.
People. I don't know if you noticed. You ever notice that when you come back onto the field, the last 2 games, because they've been down 10, they've been down 2 scores or down 10 points, the stadium looks empty. The stadium looks empty. People are disinterested right now. The Miami Dolphins. When's the last time the Miami Dolphins, this team that's been with Megan, has gotten booed at home 2 games in a row?
Well, again, how can you blame them?
No,
I don't think, right? No one, right? Because we all know what this offense can do. What the hell are you doing?
But who's the engine?
I understand that. I understand who's the architect of what's on the field or what's on the play calling, right? We know that. Anyway, we're at an hour and a half in. It is 12:54 Eastern time, 11:54 for me and Steve. But again, let me say I do apologize because I wanted to open up get people in, but it's later now, and so we're gonna roll out. But we'll have opportunities where people could come in and discuss. I know a lot of people have had it. And first off, there's over 247 people watching right now from Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We thank you for watching and tuning in with us. I know it sucks. Teams 1-1, but it was a devastating loss. It was a lot, it was a deflating loss. Even if Tua would have stayed healthy, it's even worse now that Tua is hurt. And and because now there's uncertainty. It's not like he's hurt. He's okay. We'll have him back in 6 weeks. Now it's hurt. And it's like, wait, do we even get him back? He's gonna have. And can you blame him? You can't. It's now it's up to him and the family. Carson Beck, 25. Josh Wingate. But yeah, and then just small plug for those who will start looking at the draft. We're already doing homework on it. Watch On the Clock NFL Draft Show here on FTSN towards the end of the season. We're gonna have some stuff off with Josh Wingate and Coach Vogel and myself. But Evan, any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
My only final thoughts are that if any updates do happen, and if anyone wants to jump on with me tomorrow night, I'll be happy to jump on tomorrow night and do another update on what's going on with the Dolphins. Because in the end, that's
a good idea.
I support Oos. I worry. I like I said, I've had a 7-year-old with concussion that I suffered through a month. Couldn't go to school because he whenever I asked him, "Do you know my name?" and he had to think about it. This is a guy playing football.
That's scary.
Yeah. So I'm saying, for the sake, honestly, the Miami Dolphins as an organization have to look beyond their success in this moment for the sake of the human being and move on. But the second thing I'm going to say, and Malloy's going to agree with me, I know this. If I'm Ryan Tannehill or I'm a free agent quarterback, until you fix that pathetic excuse of an offensive line, why would I want to come get my ass kicked? Because Ryan Tannehill does not have the processing time of Tua. Here's Jimmy G. They're going to get their asses kicked with that offensive line. Armstead's out. Jones couldn't even move his arm. Wilson's now out. Moster's now. Like, literally, you're going to burn Achane. Like, what are you left with? They're going to have to go out. They're probably going to have to go sign Savon Ahmed tomorrow, or Myles Gaskin.
Well, they got Jalen Wright.
Yeah, but that means but if what they have no oblique injury, they're down to 2 running backs right now. Who's their third?
Who has a knee injury?
No, what's his name? Jeff Wilson left in the fourth quarter with an oblique injury.
Oh, did he?
Yes, he got
injured.
That. He has an oblique injury. Teron Armstead has a shoulder injury. Robert Jones has a shoulder injury.
Well, they do have a guy on practice squad, or another running back or two on the practice squad.
But that's not going to. That's just for practice squad. My point is this team now. Also, Bobby. Now here comes we're injured. If Robert Jones and Teron Armstead weren't injured, our offensive line would be great. Like, that's my point.
Right.
An injury excuse is now going to come up.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So, like, tonight,
I don't want to hear any excuse about the injuries.
I don't either.
The quarterback's a different situation just because,
right.
But still, even that, it's like you had you could have got somebody to be his backup, a legitimate someone. But I know that's going to come up all season now. And it's coming up right now. Oh, look at all the injuries we had. Bullshit. Sorry. You knew this. You knew how paper thin your team was in regards of depth. And that's why, I had to push back a little on the McDaniel thing, because it's not just McDaniel. Greer, he's the one that's filling out this piece. I know that. I'm just saying. Well, I know how you really feel with Greer and everybody. I'm just saying, because you were talking about McDaniel so much. I'm like, you're forgetting. You're not mentioning
mad about what happened.
I understand it. And I want to make it clear for everybody else. Constanza is my brother. I love the guy. Me and him, we go out all the time. There's, I'm not anything with him, so I want you all to think, oh, Bobby.
I love Steve Malloy, no matter how much I
love Steve. Steve's my brother, man. I love Steve, man. Steve, we talk all the time. He's always like, that's Evan, Bobby. Why do you still put up with him? I don't know. But anyway,
because I'm funny.
Yeah. Anyway, though, but no, I don't want to hear anybody talk about injuries with this football team. We knew it does. Look, I'm not going to say that I know more than Chris Greer or any of these guys or Coach McDaniel. They get paid that money to do what they do. I know what position they're in, but it doesn't take a rocket science to know how thin this team was in regards of depth. And when you look at this offensive line, you see the struggles, and it's like, man, how did this happen, man? The offensive line sucks. Why are we even talking about this? We knew they were going to suck, or we knew they were going to have struggles.
Can I make one quick point, and then I'll let Steve go? This is really important.
Mm-hmm.
They lost Stephon Diggs. They lost during the game. They lost Bernard.
Yep.
They didn't have Tyrion Johnson. They have new secondary. They have new players. Yes, they had Russo and they have Ed Oliver. They don't have Matt Milano. They had Von Miller, who came back. but They are missing.
Sorry,
They're a
Josh.
brand new team, but just because they have Josh Allen and John McDermott, they're able to overcome the changes and very smart coaching. They lost talent and they got better. We added high-end talent and we got worse because there's no depth.
And to be quite frankly, I think it was intentional. I think they got rid of Stephon Diggs intentionally. I think they're constructed the offense so Josh Allen he doesn't have to play hero ball. At least that's in theory, right? He doesn't have to play hero ball. He dispersed the ball to a bunch of receivers, and then he's got the running back now. And hell, I didn't even know what receivers they had until I looked at the roster. I said, "Oh, they got Mac Hollins." I didn't even know he was on the team. Heck, did Keon Coleman even catch a pass today? The rookie?
That's a good question. I
don't think he did.
I don't think he did.
I don't think he did either. I didn't see anything on him. Anyway,
I guess. And by the way, I guess Bobby, they didn't stop. I guess they didn't follow my keys to the game, eh?
No, Stager messaged.
Stop the run.
He said, he goes, I guess they didn't hear your keys into the game.
They completely blew my keys, and one of them was no mistakes, no turnovers.
My gosh, dude. Like the first one, I'll say again, the first one I was like, okay, you hit the shoulder pad, you could have got it a little, but again, he didn't turn his head. The second one, you could see it was a miscommunication, but still it's like, dude, come on, dude. And then the third one was the one that was kind of like, what the are you doing, bro? Like it's just. And again, I don't know. It was just off on the whole team, and then you just add the 2 injury.
Yeah,
we'll have this for 10 days. Dolphins don't play on Sunday. We get to chill. Evan will probably be on tomorrow, maybe. I know I'm back on Saturday with Fish Tank Hank, probably talking about if Tua should retire or whatever, if that's not already news already. And Steve will pop on whatever, minus Tuesday nights. Steve, whenever he has a night, he's like, Bobby, I'm going on. Go for it, my man. So we got a lot of Dolphins coverage here on the channel.
Absolutely.
But guys, first off, thank you all for tuning in. I know we're not leaving on the best circumstances tonight, but again, it's football season. What would be football season without some Dolphins disappointment? And damn, they did it early on us. So here we go again. We have another 15 games to go, So
same old Dolphins.
Yeah, damn right. So
honestly, this franchise is cursed.
Yeah, well, here that's Finn Stanza, Steve Malloy, Bobby Finstock. We appreciate you guys. Have a good night. Like, subscribe, most importantly, as always, no matter what, win, lose, or draw. Fins up.
Good night, guys.